A friend of mine was on welfare after going through a bad experience. Someone thinks she and her husband became ill. They couldn't work for a while, and they went on welfare. After they both became physically well, he said, look here, we don't ever have to go back to work. We're making more money on welfare than we made when we were working, with all the Medicaid benefits and all of the food stamps and everything. She said, no. She said, we are not going to accept the checks anymore. He said, I'm not going to work. Now, you can go to work if you want to. She went down to the welfare department and said, don't send any more checks to my house. Lady said, excuse me? She said, now, I've been working here 25 years. No one has ever come in here and said, don't send any more checks here. Are you sure you're all right? Yes, I am. And she went home and told her husband, don't look for any more checks because I told them to cut the check off. Now we've got to find something to do. And they started a paper route and got over 1,500 customers and were making money hand over fist in a spirit of dignity and achievement, not ripping anybody off. That was the critical choice. She could have very easily said, well, everybody else is doing it. Why don't I do it? But she decided not to follow the crowd. I like what Whitaker said, what you think about me is none of my spiritual business. So when you're keeping integrity with yourself, you know that's going to bring you under a lot of pressure. The next thing is, don't try to cut a bargain with life. Life is not Donald Trump. Life will not give you any special deals because you maintain a sense of integrity. Anybody ever try to cut a deal? Raise your hand, please, if you know what I'm talking about. If you try to cut a deal, there are no deals. There are no deals. You've got to do what you do because, not with any ulterior motives, that you're going to get some special benefit or some special treatment in the universe. No. Doesn't mean that somebody might not steal your car while you're trying to do some good for somebody. No, there won't be any special light around your car. They will take your car too. All the good people, you're going to go too. You've got to do what you do because that expresses who you are and for no other reason. They might not have a banquet to recognize you or give you a special little plaque and dedicate a day in your name. No, do what you do because that's you. The next thing is dedicate your life to something. Dedicate your life to a cause larger than yourself. See, if you dedicate your life to a cause larger than yourself, you're not following the crowd. See, if your life is not dedicated to something of value, and I like what Howard Thurman said, who was one of the mentors to Dr. Benjamin Mays, who was a mentor to Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, the quality of life is often determined by that to which the individual is dedicated. If the dedication of the life is vague and diffuse, the quality is apt to be poor and weak. There is much to be said for the intensity of life. See, most people are not intense about living. Most people are very casual about life. They haven't found anything to become intense about. So when you dedicate your life, you don't care anything about the odds. Somebody say when the dream is big enough, the odds don't matter. See, when you dedicate your life, you bring on a special power. There's a power in you that people, circumstances, events, and I'm not talking about the physical you, I'm talking about the real you, the indestructible, invincible, perfect essence of who you really are, that can bring a government to its knees, that can change the course of history. When you dedicate your life like a Nelson Mandela, who has decided to sacrifice his freedom, all he has to do is say whatever the government wants him to say, and they'll let him go free. And he can go to a foreign nation and say, I just said that because I've been in prison for over 20 years. And nobody will say, well, Nelson, you sold out. No one would say that. They will say, wait a minute, Nelson, you gave over 20 years of your life. What more can we ask of you? It's okay. But because of his integrity with himself, and he's dedicated his life to break the back of apartheid and free his people. There was Benjamin Disraeli. He says, nothing can resist the will of a people that will stake even their existence on the extent of their purpose for good. That when you dedicate your life to something, you bring on some powers in the universe that works through you to bring about changes that you would never ever know unless you have dedicated yourself.
Every morning, the moment your eyes open, you're standing at a crossroads. One path is the same as yesterday, dragging old fears, excuses, and doubts into today. The other path is power, clarity, momentum, and freedom. The question is, which path will you choose? What I'm about to share with you are 7 unshakable promises you must make to yourself each morning if you want to dominate your day, if you want to unlock your energy, if you want to step into the life you know you were born to live. These promises are not cliches. They're not empty affirmations. They're weapons. They are tools that will rewire the way you think, the way you feel, the way you act, starting today. And once you hear them, you'll never look at your mornings the same way again. It all begins with one powerful decision. Promise number 1. I will own my energy. Own your energy every morning. Every single morning is the beginning of a brand new chapter of your life. And how you step into it determines the entire rhythm of your day. If you roll out of bed sluggish, with a heavy mind and drained emotions, you're already behind before you even start. But if you make a promise that the very first thing you'll do is to own your energy, you shift everything. Energy is not optional. It is the foundation of everything you do. Think about it. Your relationships, your work, your dreams, your body, your ability to give and to love, none of it thrives if your energy is low. And here's the truth. Energy doesn't come from luck. It doesn't come from waiting. It doesn't come from hoping that the day treats you kindly. It comes from a decision to prime your body, your mind, and your spirit the moment you wake up. That's why the morning is sacred. The moment your feet hit the ground, you've got to create motion. Move your body, breathe deeper than you did yesterday, shake off the dust of sleep, and step into the day as if you already own it. The body is the fastest way to change your state. When you shift your physiology, when you bring oxygen into your body with powerful breathing, when you stretch or do something that raises your heart rate, you send a signal to your nervous system that says, we're alive, we're ready, we're unstoppable. The mistake most people make is they start their day reacting, scrolling on their phone, worrying about the day ahead, replaying old problems in their head. But when you own your energy, you refuse to react. You create, you generate the energy that others will feel when they see. And don't underestimate this, energy is contagious. If you walk into a room with high energy, alive, vibrant, passionate, people feel it instantly. They lean in, they want to be around you. If you drag yourself in with tired eyes and slouched shoulders, people feel that too, and you've already lost influence before saying a word. Owning your energy is about taking command of your body, your emotions, your focus, and saying, I will not hand this over to circumstance. Doesn't decide my state, I do. It's a promise you keep to yourself, because when you keep it, you multiply everything else in your life. Imagine 2 versions of you, one who owns their energy each morning, one who does. The first version wakes up, drinks water, breathes deeply, gets the blood flowing, and speaks life into themselves. They're ready to attack challenges, they're resilient, they're present with people they love. The second version snoozes the alarm 3 times, drags into the shower, checks notifications, and already feels like they're chasing the day instead of leading it. Which version do you think builds a business, inspires a family, dominates in their career, or feels fulfilled at night when they rest? Every morning, the decision you make about your energy sets the trajectory of your life. That's why this promise matters. It's not just about feeling good, it's about power, about being the master of your inner world so that you can shape the outer world. Owning your energy means you refuse to be a victim of fatigue, negativity, or circumstances. It means you show up with intensity, with passion, and with presence. And when you do, you unlock the momentum that carries you through the rest of your promises. Promise number 2, I will live with gratitude, not scarcity. Let me repeat it again. I will live with gratitude, not scarcity. So let's go deeper. The second promise you make each morning is to live with gratitude, not scarcity. Why? Because your brain is designed to focus on what's missing, what's wrong, what could hurt you. That's a survival mechanism that kept our ancestors alive. But you're not living in the wild anymore. You don't need to spend every morning searching for what's broken in your life. If you wake up and focus on what's missing, you create stress. You feel lack. You feel like you're already behind. That mindset poisons everything. But gratitude flips the switch. Gratitude says, even if everything isn't perfect, I am blessed right now. And when you feel blessed, when you train your mind and heart to experience appreciation every morning, your entire emotional state transforms. Think about this. Fear and gratitude cannot exist in the same moment. Anger and gratitude cannot exist in the same moment. Stress and gratitude cannot exist in the same moment. Gratitude is the ultimate reset. Each morning, before you touch your phone, before you think about your to-do list, stop and feel 3 things you're grateful for. Don't just think them, feel them. It could be the breath in your lungs, the people who love you, the opportunities in front of you, even the struggles that are shaping you into something greater. Close your eyes and let those feelings flood your body until you feel them in your chest. Gratitude isn't just a nice idea, it's a practice that rewires your nervous system. When you start your day this way, you begin from a place of abundance, not lack. And that shift in perspective changes how you approach everything else. When you operate from gratitude, you see possibilities instead of problems. You see opportunities instead of obstacles. You treat people differently because you're not walking around bitter or entitled. Gratitude humbles you while also making you powerful because it connects you to what you already have while energizing you to create more. Scarcity makes you think there's not enough love, not enough money, not enough opportunity. Gratitude reminds you that life is overflowing with blessings, and your job is to recognize them. Gratitude doesn't mean you stop striving. It doesn't mean you settle. It means you pursue growth from a place of fullness instead of emptiness. When you make this promise every morning, you guarantee that your day begins with joy, with strength, with a mindset that empowers you instead of sabotaging you. And here's the key. It's not about waiting for the big wins to feel grateful. It's about training yourself to see the beauty in the ordinary, the small victories, the moments most people overlook. When you do that, you'll find yourself richer, happier, more alive than people who may even have more than you on paper but live in constant scarcity. Gratitude is the great equalizer. It's the choice that transforms how you experience life, no matter what's going on around you. That's why this promise matters every single morning. You choose gratitude, you choose abundance, you choose to start the day in power instead of fear. Promise number 3, I will focus on what I can control. Focus only on what you can control. Every day, the world throws a storm of distractions at you. News headlines, economic uncertainty, other people's opinions, things that went wrong yesterday, things that might go wrong tomorrow. And the human mind, if left unchecked, is like a sponge. It soaks up all of it. Before you even step out the door, you're carrying the weight of things you can't influence. You're worrying about variables that were never yours to manage in the first place. This is the fastest way to weaken your power, to drain your focus, to rob yourself of momentum. The promise you must make to yourself each morning is to focus only on what you can control. You cannot control the market, but you can control the value you bring. You cannot control how someone else treats you, but you can control how you show up. You cannot control the weather, but you can control your preparation. Life becomes lighter, sharper, and infinitely more powerful when you stop pouring energy into what is outside your reach. The mistake most people make is they spend 90% of their mental bandwidth obsessing over things they have zero control over, and then they wonder why they feel powerless. Power belongs to the person who reclaims that energy and invests it into what matters: your actions, your standards, your effort, your growth. Imagine 2 people. One spends the morning scrolling, worrying about politics, stressed about the economy, mad about something a stranger said online. The other wakes up and asks, what is within my reach today? What can I actually move forward? The first person lives in a constant state of frustration, victimhood, and helplessness. The second person feels powerful because every ounce of energy is moving them forward. Which one are you? Every morning, you must remind yourself that the circle of concern is endless, but the circle of control is where transformation happens. When you lock in on your own decisions, your own discipline, your own standards, suddenly you feel a surge of certainty, because while the world may shift, your focus stays unshakable. That's not just a mindset trick, it's a survival strategy in a world that thrives on distracting you. Ask yourself, how many hours have I wasted worrying about what I cannot touch, change, or move? How much of my emotional energy have I bled out replaying scenarios in my head that I have no influence over? Imagine if all of that fuel had been invested into building, creating, serving, or growing. You'd be unstoppable. The promise to focus only on what you can control is not about ignoring reality. It's about mastering it. It's about refusing to leak your energy into the infinite void of what-ifs, and instead planting it like a seed into what you can actually grow. That's how resilience is built. That's how leaders rise. not by controlling everything, but by controlling themselves. Promise number 4, I will move forward even in fear. Move forward even in fear. Fear is the silent thief of dreams. It doesn't always show up as panic or terror. Sometimes it shows up as hesitation, as second guessing, as that quiet voice that says, not today, maybe later, what if it doesn't work out? That voice has stolen more potential, more opportunities, more greatness than failure ever has. And here's the truth. Fear never fully disappears. No matter how much you achieve, no matter how strong you become, that voice will always try to whisper in your ear. But the promise you must make to yourself each morning is this: I will move forward even in fear. Because courage is not the absence of fear, it's taking action in spite of it. Think about it. The moments you're proudest of in your life weren't the times you played it safe. They were the times you felt uncertain, maybe even terrified, but you did it anyway. That job you applied for, even though you weren't qualified enough. That conversation you had, even though your heart was pounding. That risk you took, even though the outcome wasn't guaranteed. Those are the moments that shaped you. Fear tries to convince you that standing still is safe, but standing still is the most dangerous thing you can do. Growth requires risk. Progress requires uncertainty. If you wait until you feel no fear, you will wait forever. The promise is not that you'll wake up fearless. The promise is that you'll wake up determined to step forward anyway. Each time you move despite fear, you train your nervous system. You rewire your brain to associate action with empowerment instead of paralysis. And the more you do it, the less power fear has over you. Think of fear like a shadow. It looks huge when you face away from it, but when you walk toward it, when you shine the light of action on it, it shrinks. This is why people who achieve massive success aren't necessarily the bravest. They're simply the ones who kept moving while fear screamed at them. They didn't wait for confidence to appear. They built confidence by acting. Each morning, remind yourself, fear is if it scares you, it probably matters. If it makes you uncomfortable, it probably holds growth on the other side. Moving forward in fear means leaning into that discomfort, trusting that the path to your potential is paved with moments that stretch you, not moments that feel safe. And the truth is, the life you want is always on the other side of a risk you're afraid to take. Promise number 5, I will speak truth to myself. Speak empowering truth to yourself. The voice that speaks the loudest in your life isn't your parents, your partner, your boss, or your critics. It's the one that echoes inside your own head. The voice you hear every single moment of every single day. And here's the reality. That voice can either be the weapon that destroys you or the fuel that builds you. Most people wake up in the morning and their first thoughts are disempowering. They tell themselves they're tired, they're stressed, they're not enough, they're behind. And without realizing it, they've already written the script of their day before they've even brushed their teeth. That inner dialogue shapes the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you act. If you keep telling yourself you're not enough, you will begin to live like you're not enough. If you keep repeating that you're tired, you'll drag through the day like you're exhausted, even when your body has fuel left inside it. But when you flip the script and begin to speak empowering truth to yourself each morning, you start taking back control. This is not about lying to yourself or pretending everything is perfect when it's not. It's about choosing words that strengthen you instead of weaken you. Your brain is like a computer. Whatever commands you feed it, it executes. So if you wake up and declare with conviction, I am strong, I am resilient, I am resourceful, I am relentless, your mind begins to find evidence to match those commands. You begin to walk taller, breathe deeper, and carry yourself with certainty. The truth is, you are far more powerful than the lies you've been telling yourself. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is often the story you keep repeating inside your head. You can either repeat a story of limitation, or you can repeat a story of strength. Which one do you want building your life? When you speak truth to yourself, you're not only conditioning your mind, you're conditioning your nervous system. Words carry energy. Say, I am weak, and feel how your body slumps, how your chest caves in, how your energy drains. Now say, I am unstoppable with intensity, and feel the difference in your posture, your breathing, your energy. That is the power of self-talk. Every morning, you must make the promise that you will not allow negative self-talk to dictate your day. You must choose words that align with the highest version of yourself, even before you see the evidence. Because here's the paradox. You don't wait to believe it until it happens. You speak it until it becomes true. Confidence is built through repetition of empowering language, matched with action. If you want to change your life, you must first change your words. It is not enough to speak these truths once, they must become a ritual. The more you repeat them with emotion, the deeper they imprint into your subconscious. Over time, you begin to believe them, and belief changes everything. Think of it this way. If someone you admire told you every single day that you are extraordinary, eventually you'd start to believe it. Why wouldn't you give yourself the same gift? Why wouldn't you become your own greatest encourager instead of your harshest critic? The words you speak to yourself each morning are not small. They are the foundation of your destiny. Promise number 6. I will pursue progress, not perfection. Pursue progress, not perfection. There is a prison that so many people are trapped in, and it's not built of walls or bars, it's built of perfection. The belief that you must have everything figured out, that you must execute flawlessly, that you must wait until the timing is right before you move. That belief kills more dreams than failure ever will, because perfection is an illusion. It does not exist. The world doesn't reward perfect, it rewards progress. The promise you make to yourself every morning is that you will pursue progress, not perfection. Progress is movement. Progress is momentum. Progress is getting a little better today than you were yesterday. Too many people freeze because they think they're not ready, not smart enough, not talented enough, not experienced enough. They wait and the years slip by. But the ones who create change, the ones who make impact, the ones who live fulfilled lives, they are not the ones who waited for perfect. They are the ones who started messy, who took the risk, who stumbled forward, who learned on the go. Think about a baby learning to walk. They don't wait until they're certain they can walk perfectly. They stand up, they wobble, they fall, they get up again. That is how progress works. And yet as adults, we somehow expect ourselves to nail everything on the first try. It's ridiculous. You must embrace the process. Embrace the mistakes. Embrace the growth that comes from action. Progress is addictive, because once you feel yourself moving forward, even in small steps, you create momentum. And momentum is everything. A 2-degree shift each day, compounded over time, can take you to an entirely different destination. But if you sit waiting for perfect, you'll remain stuck in the same place forever. Each morning, remind yourself, perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection breeds procrastination. It makes you hesitate. It makes you fearful, it makes you hold back. But progress is about courage, about stepping forward even when things are messy, about being willing to learn and adapt as you go. And here's the key. Progress creates confidence. You don't get confidence first and then act. You act, you move, you make progress, and that builds confidence. Then you act more, and the cycle repeats. That is how extraordinary growth happens. This promise matters because it liberates you from the impossible standards that hold so many people back. When you wake up and commit to progress, you free yourself to start, to try, to stretch, to risk. You allow yourself to be human, to grow in real time, to let your path unfold. And that is where real fulfillment is found. Because life is not about being flawless, it's about being in motion, about knowing that each day you're becoming more, giving more, creating more. Progress is what feeds the soul. Promise number 7, I will give more than I expect to receive. Give more than you expect to receive. The final promise you must make each morning is one that shifts your entire experience of life. It's the promise to give more than you expect to receive. In a world where so many people wake up thinking, what do I get? What's in it for me? Who's going to help me today? You stand apart when you decide, I will be the one who gives. I will be the one who contributes. I will be the one who adds value before I ever ask for value in return. This is not about charity alone. It is about a mindset of abundance. When you give from a place of fullness, you are saying to yourself and to the world, I already have enough. I am not living in scarcity. I am living in overflow. And when you live in overflow, you attract more, because life responds to contribution. Think about the people you admire most in this world, the leaders, the mentors, the ones who inspire you. What do they all have in common? They give, they share wisdom, they offer love, they create opportunities, they build others up, and because of that, their influence grows, their joy multiplies, their impact expands. Giving is not loss, giving is gain. Every morning when you make this promise, you shift your focus away from yourself and onto something greater. It could be as simple as giving a smile, giving encouragement, giving your full presence to someone who feels unseen, giving your effort fully to a task, or giving your creativity to a project that will touch others. Giving doesn't always require money, it requires heart. And the irony is, when you make giving your priority, receiving flows to you more naturally than if you had chased it. Too many people are waiting for others to give them the break, the recognition, the reward. But the ones who truly live fully are the ones who decide, I will become the source. I will give the energy, the kindness, the leadership. And as they give, doors open, relationships deepen, opportunities appear. This promise transforms how you move through your day. Imagine waking up and instead of asking, what can I get out of this meeting? What can I take from this relationship? What can I gain from this day? You ask, what can I give in this meeting? How can I serve this relationship? How can I contribute to this day? You suddenly walk into life with power because you're no longer needy, you're no longer desperate, you're no longer waiting for others to fill you. You are overflowing onto them. That kind of energy cannot be ignored. People feel it, they're drawn to it. They trust it because they know it's rare. There is also a deeper truth. The human spirit is wired for contribution. No matter how much money you make, how many goals you achieve, how many trophies you collect, if your life is only about yourself, there will always be an emptiness. But the moment you give, whether it's time, love, encouragement, knowledge, or service, you light up something inside yourself that nothing else can replace. That's why people who give live longer, they live happier, they experience more fulfillment. Contribution gives meaning, and meaning is the fuel that sustains you when the challenges of life show up. When you make this promise each morning, it also changes how you face adversity. If your only focus is receiving, then when life doesn't give you what you want, you feel crushed. But when your focus is giving, setbacks don't stop you. You can still give encouragement when you're hurting. You can still give effort when resources are low. You can still give kindness even when you feel unseen. That power makes you unstoppable, because nothing can take away your ability to contribute. Giving more than you expect to receive also builds trust. In relationships, in business, in leadership, trust is everything. And trust is earned by consistently giving without keeping score. When people feel you are in their life to add, not to take, they open up, they follow, they commit. You become the kind of person others want to support because they know your intention is genuine. And over time, even though you didn't chase it, you receive more than you could have imagined. Loyalty, love, opportunities, blessing. Every day you have countless opportunities to live this promise, holding the door open for someone, offering encouragement to a teammate, mentoring someone who's struggling, choosing to listen deeply instead of waiting to talk, sharing your knowledge freely, giving your best effort in a moment where you could easily coast. It's not about grand gestures, it's about consistent acts of generosity that compound over time. Those acts shape your identity into that of a giver, not a taker. And the more you give, the more your identity strengthens until it becomes natural for you to be the one who contributes, the one who adds, the one who lifts. This promise also frees you from entitlement. When you expect life to give you everything, you live in disappointment. When you promise to give without expecting return, you live in freedom. Because nothing anyone does or doesn't do controls your joy. You already decided your fulfillment comes from contribution. That is power no one can take away from you. So when you wake up each morning and make this promise, you are declaring that you will show up to life not as a consumer but as a creator. Not as someone waiting for blessings, but as someone becoming a blessing. You become the one who multiplies the energy, who elevates the room, who inspires others by example. And the beauty is, As you keep this promise, your own life becomes richer, not just in material terms, but in depth, in connection, in meaning. Because at the end of the day, what you give is what truly lasts. Think about what we've just walked through together. 7 promises, 7 daily commitments that, when lived, don't just change your mornings, they change your destiny. First, you made the decision to own your energy, because without energy, nothing else works. Then you chose to live with gratitude, because gratitude kills fear. You locked in on what you can control, and you committed to moving forward, even when fear tries to paralyze you. You made a vow to speak empowering truth to yourself, not lies that weaken you. You agreed to pursue progress instead of perfection, because progress creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. And finally, you stepped into the greatest promise of all, to give more than you expect to receive, because contribution is the heartbeat of a fulfilled life. If you truly live these 7 promises, you won't just survive your days, you'll dominate them. You'll show up differently, you'll love differently, you'll lead differently. This is the blueprint to waking up alive, unstoppable, and unshakable every single morning. So here's your moment. If these 7 promises lit something inside you, I want you to drop in the comments the one promise you're going to start living tomorrow morning. Which one is yours? And if this message hit you, don't just keep it, share it. Someone in your world needs this right now. And before you go, hit that subscribe button to Tony Robbins' track, because this is where you'll come back every week to refuel, to reignite, and to step into the life you deserve. Because at the end of the day, what you give is what truly lasts. How many of you right now feel like you're capable of more, but something keeps holding you back? How many of you have ever felt stuck, not because you lack potential, but because something inside of you just isn't clicking? Listen to me, success is not about talent, it's not about luck, it's not about circumstances, it's about what's happening in your mind. It's about mental strength. The strongest people in the world, the ones who dominate in business, in sports, in life, aren't necessarily the smartest or the most skilled. They are the ones who have mastered their mind. They control their emotions instead of letting their emotions control them. They show up every day with relentless consistency, no matter what. They take full ownership of their lives, no excuses, no blame, just pure responsibility. And today, I'm going to give you 5 habits, 5 mindset shifts that separate the mentally strong from everybody else. Because if you don't master these, you will always be at the mercy of your emotions, your fears, and your excuses. But if you do, you will become unstoppable. Let's dive in. Control your focus. Where focus goes, energy flows. This is one of the most powerful principles that separates mentally strong individuals from those who struggle with uncertainty, negativity, and self-doubt. Your mind is like a magnifying glass. Whatever you focus on expands. If you constantly focus on problems, they become bigger and more overwhelming. But if you train yourself to focus on solutions, opportunities, and what you can control, you shift your entire state of mind, and suddenly life starts working for you instead of against you. Mentally strong people have mastered the ability to direct their focus intentionally. They don't allow distractions, setbacks, or external circumstances to dictate their mindset. They take command of their thoughts. They make a conscious choice every single day to focus on progress, growth, and possibilities. This isn't something that happens automatically. It's a skill, a habit that must be trained and conditioned. Just like a muscle, think about the most successful people in the world. Athletes, entrepreneurs, leaders. Do you think they waste their time focusing on what's wrong? No, they train themselves to find solutions. They condition their minds to see possibilities where others see obstacles. They focus on what they can do, not what they can't. And this mindset gives them an unstoppable edge in everything they do. Imagine a person who constantly focuses on why they can't succeed. They tell themselves they're not smart enough, not talented enough, or that life is unfair. Their mind reinforces those beliefs, and their actions reflect that negativity. On the other hand, someone who chooses to focus on solutions will see opportunities where others see dead ends. They'll ask better questions. What can I learn from this? How can I turn this around? What's the next step I can take? The answers they come up with propel them forward instead of holding them back. One of the most effective ways to take control of your focus is by asking powerful questions. Your brain is like a search engine. It will find whatever you tell it to look for. If you constantly ask, why does this always happen to me? Your mind will give you a list of reasons why life is unfair. But if you ask, how can I turn this into an opportunity? Your brain will start searching for ways to make it happen. Questions determine your focus, and your focus determines your reality. Visualization is another tool they use. They don't just hope things will get better. They see it in their mind's eye. They create a clear picture of their goals and mentally rehearse their success before it even happens. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's training the brain to focus on winning. When the mind believes something is possible, it finds a way to make it a reality. At the end of the day, focus is a decision. You can either let the world control your attention, or you can take charge and direct it toward what empowers you. When you master your focus, you master your emotions. When you master your emotions, you master your actions. And when you master your actions, you master your life. Embrace discomfort. Growth only happens in discomfort. Mentally strong people understand this at their core. They don't shy away from challenges, they seek them out. They don't avoid struggle, they lean into it. They have trained themselves to get comfortable being uncomfortable because they know that discomfort is the gateway to transformation. Think about the people who never change, who stay stuck in the same patterns year after year. Why? Because they fear discomfort. They fear failure, rejection, and uncertainty. They would rather stay in a situation that isn't working than step into the unknown and take a chance on something better. But the truth is, the discomfort of staying the same is far worse than the discomfort of growth. Look at elite athletes. They push their bodies beyond their limits every single day. They don't stop when it gets hard. They push harder. Why? Because they understand that every rep, every sprint, every ounce of pain is making them stronger. They've conditioned themselves to embrace discomfort because they know that's where the real growth happens. One of the biggest forms of discomfort people struggle with is failure. Most people avoid taking risks because they're afraid to fail, but mentally strong individuals see failure differently. They don't see it as the end, they see it as feedback. Every failure is a lesson. Every setback is a stepping stone. The people who achieve the greatest success are the ones who have failed the most because they were willing to take action despite the discomfort. Look at the greatest entrepreneurs, leaders, and innovators in history. Every single one of them faced massive failures before achieving success. They embraced the discomfort of rejection, criticism, and uncertainty because they knew that pushing through those challenges was the only way to grow. Think about the first time you did something difficult. Maybe it was public speaking, starting a business, or pushing your body through an intense workout. At first, it felt uncomfortable, but over time, what happened? It became easier. You got stronger. Why? Because you exposed yourself to discomfort enough times that it became your new normal. That's the secret. The more you embrace discomfort, the more resilient you become. Your threshold for challenge expands, and things that once seemed impossible become second nature. If you want to be mentally strong, you must train yourself to do the things that scare you, the things that stretch you, and the things that force you to grow. Discomfort is not the enemy. It is the price of progress. It is the path to mastery. It is the key to unlocking your true potential. The only way to reach the next level in any area of life is to step into the discomfort that comes with it. Master your emotions. Your emotions do not control you, you control them. This is the mindset of mentally strong individuals. They don't let fear, doubt, frustration, or anger dictate their actions. They don't allow temporary feelings to determine their long-term results. They have learned to master their emotions instead of being mastered by them. This is what separates those who thrive under pressure from those who crumble. Most people go through life reacting. Something happens and they immediately respond based on how they feel in that moment. If someone says something negative, they get defensive. If they experience a setback, they get discouraged. If things don't go as planned, they spiral into frustration. Their emotions dictate their actions, and because of that, they live in a constant state of uncertainty, always at the mercy of whatever is happening around them. Mentally strong people operate differently. They understand that emotions are powerful, but they also understand that emotions can be directed. They don't suppress how they feel, but they also don't let emotions take over. Instead, they train themselves to use emotions as fuel. Fear becomes motivation. Frustration becomes drive. Pain becomes power. Every emotion has energy, and when you learn to redirect that energy in a way that serves you, you become unstoppable. Think about an athlete who is about to compete. If they allowed fear and nerves to control them, they would never perform at their best. Instead, they take control of their mental state. They channel that nervous energy into focus. They reframe their fear as excitement. They have conditioned their mind to work for them rather than against them. This isn't something that happens by accident. It happens by training. One of the most effective ways to master your emotions is by shifting your perspective. Most people experience emotions based on the meaning they give to situations. If they lose a job, they see it as a disaster and they feel defeated. If a relationship ends, they see it as a failure and they feel broken. But mentally strong individuals ask better questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? They ask, how is this happening for me? They shift their mindset from victim to warrior. The way you speak to yourself determines how you feel. If you constantly tell yourself this is too hard, you will feel overwhelmed. If you say, I can't handle this, you will feel powerless. But if you tell yourself, this is making me stronger, or I will figure this out, you shift your emotions instantly. Self-talk is not just a motivational tool, it is the foundation of emotional mastery. Another powerful strategy is controlling your physiology. Your body and mind are connected, and how you move affects how you feel. When you stand tall, breathe deeply, and move with power, your emotions follow. This is why mentally strong people use movement to shift their state. They don't slump over when they feel down, they change their posture. They don't sit in sadness, they take action. They use their body to influence their emotions, instead of letting emotions dictate how they carry themselves. People who struggle with emotional control often get stuck in negative loops. Something goes wrong, they feel bad, and instead of breaking the pattern, they reinforce it by dwelling on the problem. Mentally strong individuals recognize these patterns and interrupt them. They change their focus, they move their body, they shift their perspective. They don't allow themselves to spiral into negativity because they know that every moment spent in a negative state is a moment wasted. Be relentlessly consistent. Motivation is temporary, discipline is permanent. Mentally strong people do not rely on fleeting bursts of inspiration to take action. They don't wait for the perfect mood, the perfect conditions, or the perfect timing. They have built a mindset of relentless consistency, showing up every single day, regardless of how they feel. The problem most people have is that they only take action when they feel like it. When they're excited, they work hard. When they're tired, they make excuses. When things are going well, they stay consistent. When obstacles appear, they lose momentum. This cycle keeps them stuck because they are letting their emotions determine their progress. Mentally strong individuals refuse to let that happen. They understand that true success is built through repetition, through discipline, through unwavering commitment. Think about the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the highest performers in any field. They didn't get there by working hard once in a while. They got there by doing the work every single day, whether they felt like it or not. They built routines and habits that keep them moving forward. They don't rely on motivation, they rely on systems. Imagine someone who wants to get in shape. They start working out for a few days, but then they miss a session, then another. Suddenly, they've lost momentum and it feels impossible to start again. Now compare that to someone who commits to showing up every day, no matter what. Even if they don't feel like it, even if they only do a little, they keep moving. Over time, this consistency compounds and the results become undeniable. Mentally strong people understand that discipline is like a muscle. It must be trained. The more you practice consistency, the easier it becomes. What starts as effort turns into habit. What was once difficult becomes automatic. This is why the strongest people in the world have daily rituals that they never break. They don't negotiate with themselves. They don't give in to excuses. They have made success non-negotiable. Most people think they need motivation to start, but in reality, motivation comes after action, not before. When you take action, even when you don't feel like it, you build momentum. That momentum creates motivation, and the cycle continues. This is why mentally strong people never wait for inspiration. They take action first, and the motivation follows. The real test of mental strength is not how hard you work when you're excited, it's how committed you stay when things get tough. Anyone can be consistent when everything is going well. But what happens when you're tired, when you're stressed, when life throws obstacles in your path? That's when most people quit. But mentally strong individuals push through. They have conditioned themselves to keep moving forward no matter. The strongest people in the world are not the most talented, the most gifted, or the most fortunate. They are the most consistent. They are the ones who show up day after day, year after year, regardless of circumstances. They have built a mindset of relentless discipline, and because of that, they achieve what others only dream of. Take full responsibility. Mentally strong people don't blame others, make excuses, or wait for someone else to fix their problems. They take full ownership of their lives, every decision, every action, every result. No excuses, no victim mentality, no shifting blame. The moment they take full responsibility is the moment they take full control. Most people go through life pointing fingers. When something goes wrong, they blame their upbringing, the economy, their boss, or their past. But mentally strong people understand that responsibility equals power. The more they own their circumstances, the more they can change them. Taking responsibility doesn't mean controlling everything. It means controlling how you respond. Instead of saying, this isn't fair, they ask, how can I turn this around? They eliminate excuses. They don't say, I don't have time. They say, I haven't made it a priority. They don't say, I can't afford it. They say, how can I create the money? They refuse to be victims. No matter what has happened, they focus on what they can do next. They don't wait for motivation. They don't depend on luck. They don't settle for mediocrity. They hold themselves accountable, follow through, and take full responsibility for shaping their future. Mentally strong people understand that taking responsibility is the key to power. They know that if they blame others, they give away control. If they make excuses, they stay stuck. Instead of focusing on what's unfair, they focus on what they can do to change their situation. They take ownership of their time, decisions, and emotions. When something doesn't go their way, they don't waste time complaining. They ask, what can I learn from this? They recognize that every setback is a chance to grow. Instead of saying, I can't, they ask, how can I? Instead of waiting for someone to rescue them, they create solutions. Taking full responsibility means following through. Most people say they'll do something, but when it gets hard, they quit. Mentally strong people don't. They commit. They keep promises to themselves. They know that success isn't about luck. It's about discipline, action, and ownership. They control their thoughts, emotions, and reactions, shaping their future on their terms. This is it. This is where the separation happens. Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to build the mindset it takes to sustain it. You've just learned the 5 habits of mentally strong people. You now know how to master your emotions, how to be relentlessly consistent, how to take full responsibility for your life. But knowledge means nothing without action. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these habits and commit to it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now, because the only thing standing between you and the life you want is the level of mental strength you bring to the table. And if you want more strategies to break through, to level up, to become the absolute best version of yourself, make sure you subscribe to Tony Robbins' Track and stay locked in, because this is just the beginning. Now go out there and make it happen.